Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star.
All right, race fans, we're here tonight. We got a good one again because we've got the Personal Comfort Sim500 here and Homestead. This is the second to the last race here in the chase. Pedro last week, well, he's close to putting the nail in the coffin. It all depends on how he comes out of this race here tonight. He's still not out of danger zone, because he's still got only a 14-point lead over Tyler Dalton. So he still has to do his work tonight coming into this thing. And right now, I mean, putting it on pole, what else can we say?
Yeah, that's going to help out the matters where he'll get a bonus point for leading lap if he can stay out front, obviously, for the first lap or so.
Oh, absolutely. Well, here we go. Getting set to go green flag here tonight. It's going to be a good one. Homestead, Corey. These cars, I mean, the Cup car. What do you think we're going to see with these Cup cars coming in here? Used to, I known this track to be more of a high lane. I feel like it will be, but then again, with these cars, they've surprised me. Sometimes that low line comes in.
Well, you know, Joe, funny we're at Homestead because I just got done last night watching a Homestead race in the NextGens. Except that race was in a nighttime scenario, and they were always in the bottom early on in a run, and then they'd transfer over to maybe the middle groove to the high side. So it might be about the same in the daylight. Might be a little bit loose, might get a little tight. I'm not quite sure.
Well, you know, this track, it is a 1.5 mile track, I believe, ain't it?
It is.
Okay, so they're using pretty much the plate track package here. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm with you. I remember the old Cup cars. Man, they were glued to the top side wall. It's one thing. I'm like you. I think maybe we're going to see some low line racing. We'll have to see. It also depends on how long the green flags are, how long these tire wear here can play a factor to this place. So, the green flag, Pedro gets to jump out front of Glacier. I'm going to tell you, I mean, Pedro, he could almost lock the championship up here tonight with a win, depending on where Tyler Dalton finishes. Tyler, right now, he's battling for 7th. It's again, we talked about it a couple weeks ago, and we have for the last couple weeks. You've got to be that semi-aggressive on the start. Get what you can get, because I think these things fall off as the run goes on really quick.
Yeah, you definitely got to take what you can get early on in the run and then go into conservation mode. Save those tires, you know, hold off for about 20 laps and pick off the little stragglers that didn't save tires.
Yeah, basically. Dalton right now is going to the low line. We're seeing everybody stay on that low line. Interesting to see if they stay down there as the run goes on. I mean, early on, obviously right now, the tires, you feel like Superman. You put that thing anywhere. But we've seen it. This is another track to where guys like Pedro and another one, Jose Gonzalez, these tracks benefit those guys. Basically, save your tires, you know, as the run goes on, come through the field. This is where these patient style tracks, it's not really an aggressive style track. We saw a couple weeks ago, like, you know, EJ might be, you know, benefit him, but I look for Jose Gonzalez, guys like that to come through the field. You know, Scott Simley, talk about him being the underdog. He's still 5th in points. He can make some spots up.
Yeah, he's only 23 points behind Pedro. If Pedro and everybody else in front of him has a rough night, he can make up some points.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Scott Simley still can make up some good ones. You know, and it's still not out of the woodwork of Pedro Mujica having a bad night. I mean, you know, don't get me wrong. You know, they kicked off the Monday night Sim500 Cup Series there with these guys, but you know, Pedro could very well, you know, it's not out of the woodwork. Got 120 laps to get done at this track. Anything can still happen. Right now, he's looking good. Kevin DeBrown has got to be the guy that his season has just been a roller coaster. I can't take anything away from him as far as speed goes. He has definitely got the speed, the talent, the skill to get it done. The problem is his luck. He just does not have the luck. I mean, it is. He better not buy any lottery tickets anytime soon.
Well, you know, maybe he ought to buy some lottery tickets, because, you know, if you have bad luck in one thing, you have good luck in the other things in life.
He needs to go play bingo more, huh?
Yeah, sorry, Kevin.
Hey, I mean, well, you know, it's bad. I mean, because, you know, we do see him up there. He's up there all the time. It just seems like it's bad luck, bad timing for him. Gets caught up in a mess or just gets himself in a bad position. You know, again, we know he's got the skill. We know he's got the speed. Actually, he's probably, if it wouldn't have been for bad luck, he'd probably be up here, you know, battling with Pedro for those points leads, because he's been that quick. He's probably been one of the cars that I could say that actually, speed for speed, has really been there with Pedro. We see Glacier right now trying to work on the back end. Saw Pedro do this last week. Kind of let him go and then just reel him back in. Again, I look at a track like this. This is what you do. Hey, look, I led my laps. Go, car around. Tyler Dalton, are you kidding? No, that's not what he wants. Not how he wants to start his day. Gosh. Wow. Second placement. Oh, and he just got turned by the 16. They just got together. Looks like one was going low, one was going high, and then two cars can't make up the same spot. And man, just like that, that might be the nail for Tyler Dalton to try to get the points title. Wow.
Yeah, he's definitely got a meatball flag here. That left side, it's all skewed, and he just don't pull off.
Well, I like meatballs.
Okay, not that kind of meatball, Jeff.
Oh, my bad. Okay. All right.
Oh boy,
man, Corey out here throwing meatballs out. I'm getting excited.
Oh no.
That's all right. But I tell you what, man, it's a good race here. Got Sim500. They put on an awesome show. Love it. We'll see what we got. Run to caution. First time here tonight.
And Pedro just gave up that lead.
He did that last week. Yeah, he did that last week.
Well, you know, if he would have stayed out in front for one more corner, he would have been still in the lead, clicking off some extra laps for lead lap bonus points. It's all right though. He's pretty good in points right now, especially with Tyler Dalton having some troubles right there.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. So, all right, Glacier's the man out front in this one right now, though.
Yeah, and Bentley, we haven't really seen him win a race yet, but he's always been up front. Top 3, top
Glacier?
5.
Yeah, he's got a fast car, yeah. It's almost like, well, he didn't run in a lot of trouble like Kevin DeBrown. I mean, unfortunately, DeBrown kind of seems to find the trouble. But you're right, Glacier's one of them cars we do see up front a lot.
It always seems like if it ain't Pedro leading early on, it's usually Bentley leading.
All right, up front.
Uh-huh.
All right, caution first time tonight here. Over bugging my wife for a minute.
Oh, boy.
Appreciate everybody tuning in. We've got personal comfort. I got to give a shout out to Mel Scott Stencil. Appreciate him being a title sponsor here for the Winter Series. It has been a good Winter Series. We're going to kick back up here on the Wednesdays with the Truck Series. We'll take a couple months off and whatnot. So we're going to kick it back up in Sim500. Stay tuned on the Sim500. Go to sim500.com. You'll get all the information of when the Truck Series will kick back up. So we'll be back. We'll take a little break, man. Everybody needs a break. Except for Corey. He's on break all the time.
I wish.
Corey don't do nothing, sleep all day.
You do, TJ.
And eat sardines.
I don't eat sardines. Quit spreading false rumors.
Salmon. Eat some salmon.
Sometimes.
Oh, really? Ugh. Whew. I knew there was something wrong with you. How many people out there in the chat, man, eat salmon? I don't know how we got on this conversation from racing, but anyways.
I don't know, Joe.
Can you imagine there'd be a salmon car out there? You know who we ain't seen? Oh, wait a minute, never mind. There he is. I was speaking to say the SpongeBob car, but he's out there tonight. SpongeBob on the side looking there happy. What does he always run around saying? What was it? I done it. I done it. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Well, Glacier was ready for the green flag there. He got out to a good little jump over Pedro.
Don't want to get too far out there. Remember, you run them tires up. Old Pedro reeling back in. Chad Coleman, one of the old veterans here, Sim500. Him with Jose. They two of the known one. And Doey Woods. Doey Woods and the other one's not out here. One loves the Haviland car, and the other one likes the STP one. So there you go. Evan the Brown's going to try to take that spot, though.
Yes, he is. He's on that bottom side, coming out of 2. You see Doy get a little bit loose.
Yeah.
You have a car on the apron on the back.
Swavely out there waving around. He's got a band on the side of that thing.
Arch Enemy. Whatever that is.
Century Media Arch Enemy? Oh. Maybe it's looks like a girl band.
Yeah, I mean, definitely looks like a death metal type of band.
Hey, that sounds good. I'll have to look them up.
Okay, Joe can look that up.
Right. Pedro still in second. Here comes Jose. I told you this is a track, man. It's going to benefit him. He just slowly but surely, he's going to be smashing his way to the front in the Burger Mobile. Old Jose Speedy Gonzalez.
Well, he does have the little character, Speedy on the back.
Man, the first time I ever saw Jose, and I did a Sim500 race, and I saw Jose, I went, that reminds me of Speedy. I said, Speedy Gonzalez. Because his last name Gonzalez. I was like, man, Speedy. And so ever since I said, man, and he was coming through the field fast, too. I said, well, there he goes. He's like Speedy. And then I learned more about him. He has like a food truck down in, I want to say it's the Caribbean area. It's down there somewhere area like that. And he has a food truck, so he does have some, he has like some meatball subs and stuff like that. So he's got Speedy balls.
Well, look at Kevin DeBrown in the Pride car coming on up.
That's right. Well, Kevin DeBrown, again, he's fast. You can't count him out. It's just he gets... I don't want to talk too much about him and jinx him. You know, poor guy. See what we got. Wesley Donaldson back here in the back. Got a pretty good paint job, man, going on there. Scott Simley. Got his Heineken machine happening. Joey Katina. What's with Joey Katina in tonight? He was in a black car last week. Oh, he's in the wall. That's where he's at.
That might be a broken tail link there, Joe.
Something broke. What's on the side of his car? Cheetos?
No, it's Chesterton Global Solutions.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, he smacked the wall hard. He hurt the front end of that car. He's on pit road. Wow. Just like that. Now it goes from good to bad. As soon as we was talking about him, Corey's fault.
Yeah, my fault.
Yep. Corey said, go in there and start talking about Joey, and as soon as we did, he hit the wall. Joey Katina, man, obviously you got a good running thing here with the Sim500. Sim500 been around for a while now. Love the league. Good league out there. Go the sport, man. Hit the likes and shares. You don't want to hit the likes, you can hit the thumb down too. But we still appreciate you coming by hating. At least Corey does anyways.
Well, I mean, I do hit the down like button every so often.
Yeah, well, we don't like Corey either.
It's good for the algorithm still.
Ah, yeah. Ron Hollifield got his NC811 machine. He came close right there to Jeffrey Ryan. Ryan almost came down in it. This race here looks to be going to be one of these pit stop style races, I think.
Yeah, definitely going to be a fuel strategy type of deal here tonight.
Tire wear,
sure.
too. What about fuel?
Sure
Fuel, man. 100% fuel. You think it'll be a fuel strategy?
Well, yeah, they definitely can't go 120. I mean, maybe 60-ish.
How many laps can they go, Jason? Jason out there watching. He'll let us know. How many laps do you think they can go, Jason? I'm with you though. They're at least going to go over halfway, depending on if there's a caution or not. You know, I'm with you on that one. I'm gonna say 65, maybe 70, 65.
70s maybe stretching it.
Yeah, we'll say 65. I'm gonna say 65. Or 62, but 65. I know it's gotta be over halfway because any time here, every race, if it goes green, it's always. Somebody always goes over halfway, whether it's a lap or two or something. Somebody's always over halfway. All Glacier out front. Nobody's been able to track him down, and this is one of these tracks, just like we reference Auto Club a lot. Pretty much position style track. 65, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I figure 62, 65. So. Maybe 70. Wow. Okay. They're throwing out big numbers out there. Maybe 70.
Always
I guess if you're in the back.
I
guess if you're really saving fuel, then you go 70.
Yeah, if you saved a little bit of gas under yellow.
But I'm not asking quit now. On that note, if you could go, let's say 62, 65 anyways, why would you want to save it to go that far? Because it does not look like, or what it looks like right now, is a position. I would take the track position now. And green flag stops. All that's going to do, like with Kevin DeBrown, where he's sitting at, it's just going to make that gap between him and Chad Coleman even more. That's what green flag stops do. Under caution, that's different, but green flag stops just it spreads these gaps out. So we're already seeing that it looks like track position. Nobody's coming through this field. I mean, everybody's at a stalemate. I mean, I talk about lap times too. Let's look at the lap times. 30. Everybody's in a 34 all the way back to 14th spot. So and that's 34.94 to a 34.89. So they're within a tenth of the field for the top 14.
Yeah, I mean, the whole field is pretty well about on par with each other. You got a couple of outliers there towards the back running in the 35s, but really everybody is within about 3/10 of each other.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, you got to go past that 14th place spot. Then you get maybe some of the 35s, but that top 14, like you said, well, that's close. I mean, wow. And that just goes to show you how hard it is to going to be able to come through this field. I mean, you're going to see some passes like you saw right there with Pedro, which we said that's what he does. He lets you get out there, and then all of a sudden he reels you back in as the run goes on. This is one of these tracks, though, strategy-wise, when you do make your pit stop, let's say there's a yellow flag, you make your pit stop. On that yellow, you're going to have to get everything. You got to be aggressive on the start because you got to get what you can get on the start. Because about 3, 4, or 5 laps later, everything's going to get kind of spread out.
Yeah.
Pedro's out front, Glacier there in second, Coleman up in third, the Browns hanging in fourth, Gonzalez up in fifth, Woods, he back in sixth, Hudson up there in the seventh, Mike Kelly hanging on to eighth, Scott Simley in ninth, and Steve Ritter just moved it up into the 10th place spot. He's actually battling with Wesley Donaldson. You see Donaldson's going to take that high side. So it looks like some of the cars are starting to migrate to that middle lane. I think eventually by the time this run's over, we'll be up against that wall.
Yeah, it actually looked like Steve Ritter was a little slow there on the bottom side down the back stretch. Lost a couple of spots.
Good race so far, though. Homestead. One race after this one, we crown a champ here in the Personal Comfort Winter Cup Series Sim500. And Pedro Mojica dominating. The fuel load is supposed to be 75, but they gave it 100. Well, I've always known it to be 100%, so they were going to try to change it up. I've always known it to be 100 anyway, so 75 would have thrown a wrench at the monkey, or the monkey in the wrench, or whatever, however you say that darn. They had a monkey wrench. How's that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Hey. Did you work on your car, man? Yeah.
Oh boy. I'm gonna put that on the hood of my next paint.
What? Wrench with a monkey?
Monkey with a wrench.
Monkey with a wrench.
I'm gonna have to put a picture of Joe White underneath of it.
There you go.
I'll Photoshop a picture of Joe on the monkey.
That's it. Brian Wortman back here at 21st. He's looking good. Man just loves to come out here to have fun. And good supporter here, the Sim500. Comes out here, man, having fun, just riding around, looking strong. Hello, Gerald Livingston car. Like a Hot Wheel.
Well, I think when they took it out of the body shop, they forgot to put the headlight and the grill decals on it.
Got to put all the other decals on it, too.
Well, they got the flame and they got the number on it. That's all.
I don't see no number.
Oh,
Not on the side. Oh, the top's got the number. I think that's just because iRacing. Oh, there it is. Blended in with the flame. Okay, I didn't see it. All right. Well, yeah. Yeah. Put you on that one. Crazy.
Well, they probably crashed in practice and didn't have time to put the decals on.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what happened. That's what happened to old Gerald.
Swavely up here to 19. Van Shank right here. We like to talk about his because he's got Patrick and SpongeBob on his. He just got passed by what looked like the Sunny D car. Oh, that's Legends. Legion? Oh, yeah. There was a Sunny D car out here one time. Oh! Poor Tommy Ryan. Oh, what he's doing. Testing the back tires on that thing. Ooh. He's digging. Jeff Ryan. I don't think they're related. No relations. I mean Jeff. I see these cars getting a little loose coming off turns. See that? Get wiggly.
Yeah, I see that. That's what I was seeing in the race I watched last night, and about this point of the race is where they will get a little bit squiggly off the corners or into the corner, and especially if you have a car next to you, it's going to take that air off and make you even way worse loose.
Wow. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Gotta be careful going up through it. It's all Pedro leading it. Got a good battle happening back here. Randy Yoakum, Mike Kelly and company. Look at Jeff Ryan's there in the mix. Ron Hollifield. Homestead here tonight. Good little racetrack. You can see it right there riding with Hollifield on the inside. You see him come off turn floor. Kind of, seesaw on the wheel a little bit, trying to hold on to it. So I got to imagine what it is. It probably tight going in, loose coming off.
Yeah, I imagine it is a little bit tight coming in and then loose coming off if you ain't careful with the throttle.
Yeah. Throttle control. Got to be everything. The one man out front, though, has got throttle control. Pedro Mejica. I mean, that guy is just bad fast, week in and week out. He actually could be a pro driver. I'm wondering if he was one in the past because, I mean, he's got 6,700 iRating. Pro level.
Well, maybe we can ask.
Yeah. I mean, either way, that's good. I mean, you got to look. Most of these guys out in this field are good. They're better than me. I'll say that. I just look at some of the I ratings and stuff out there. I mean, one day I'll get out of the booth and get back out racing. Actually, when Forza comes out, I'm going to get back racing. Because I like doing the rivals.
Oh boy, he's going to race an arcade game.
Hey, this is a game.
Okay.
Even iRacing says it's a game.
But it's a simu game.
But it's still a game.
Okay.
I mean, even iRacing says it.
I know.
It makes everybody triggered out there. And even iRacing calls itself a game. Until you start hitting your head on the sim wheel when you wreck. There you go.
Hey, I sometimes do it for immersion.
Oh my Lord, can you imagine that? I see that one now. Can you imagine that somebody stream all of a sudden they hit the wall, next thing they know they bang their head on the ow.
Well, with VR, sometimes I do feel like I am in the car, and when I go to point at something, I usually end up touching my monitors in front of me.
I'm pointing at the little fire extinguisher. I'm fascinated with that. I will agree with you. VR is immersive. I mean, we talk about sim racing as a whole. It's come up a long way over the years, and there's many different sims out there now, depending on what kind of discipline of racing you like, whether it be dirt, asphalt, road, whatever. There's many different ones, and you talk about sim racing. We got a lot of great sponsors. I mean, like tonight, Personal Comfort coming on board. I mean, for the Monday night, you got NC811. That's unheard of 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Sponsors like that coming on board for sim racing. You might hear a few like Fanatic or Thrustmaster or something, but they're in the sim world. But now you see outside companies coming on board because they see the benefit of it. You've got great races, iRacing Pro Series, and a lot of great leagues out there here, like Sim500. It's just, and then you've got, like you said, the immersiveness of the equipment. I mean, these guys out here, some guys, man, have got full-blown rigs, you just go in them and thousands of dollars. I mean, you could spend as little as, I'm gonna say you're gonna at least probably $800. That you might get out a little cheaper than that, but by the time you bought, I mean, even if you went with a wheel stand and get your seat, pedals, steering wheel, all, you're gonna be on top of $600-700 easy. So I'm gonna say that 800 mark. Probably 1,000 is more or less, okay. But some of these guys have got $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 in some of their stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, there's even guys out there that have a
50,000 or 100,000.
No, they got an IKEA desk with a laptop with duct tape holding it up so it stays cold. And if you know who I'm talking about, well, good job.
Is that you?
No, it's Ty Majeski.
I don't think he's got that anymore.
I think he does because he had it.
Got that anymore.
He posted it last.
Yeah, well, he ain't as famous as he. Yeah, now he started out. Now that is a good indication. I mean, I don't want to get too far off subject because he's a good racer, but that is a good thing you talk about because a lot of these guys with the G27s and stuff started out like that. I mean, a lot of them guys have migrated over to the fancy, direct drive wheels and all that stuff now. But yeah, a lot of them boys did. They started out with that for a long time. Started out with the G27s, like you said, on the desk table and stuff and whatnot. But I mean, sim racing as a whole now, you can get the equipment out there easily. Look at old Pedro, or look at old Jose right here, man. He's working a back end at the Brown. Gonna see if he can't get around him. I'm curious to see what some of the equipment that these guys do use. How many of them use VR, like you said, is another one. Triple screens. That's always going to be a conversation of. It's going to be personal preference of what you like. I'm not even getting into a debate of which one's better or which one's worse. It's what you like, what you feel like, man, you have the most fun with. I like the VR aspect of it. If I was going for longer races, I'd want triple screen, but VR aspect is.
Yeah, I mean, it's so easily accessible nowadays. Everybody has a good range of equipment.
Oh, absolutely. Right now, Chad Coleman holding on to 6th. You got the Brown. He's falling back to 5th. Jose's up to 4th. Pedro's still leading this thing. Tyler Dalton, unfortunately, out of this race here tonight, and I think his hopes of a championship just went up in smoke early on. So, with that said, all that work he did to stay up there, Mike Kelly might be able to leapfrog him. Pretty much, he is going to leapfrog him. Him and Glacier will leapfrog him. Probably Simley will probably leapfrog him. Simley's only 5 back from Glacier. He is 5, 7, 9. Only 9 points behind Tyler Dalton. It would take me a few there. So, yeah. Tyler Dalton could fall all the way back as far as, I'm going to say 5th or 6th is where he could fall back to. Oh, just not the night Tyler wanted. Pedro's probably not going to complain, but, man, Dalton, he gave it all this whole entire chase. And, we spoke about it. With it only being, a 4-race chase, you can't make mistakes because you just don't have enough time to bounce back.
No, I mean, one bad race. I mean, we've seen it with Mike Matesi. He didn't have a bad race. He just didn't show up for the first week and was already behind the 8 ball. He ain't even here this week. So, but 1 week where you have a DNF like Tyler Dalton, or you just don't show up, and well, that pretty much locks you out of the hunt unless some by miracle happens. Everybody else has the same problem.
Well, we talk about the top 10 because that's the one there, but you got to look at 11th place spot too. David Comstock holds on to it, but he's got Richard Swavely 10 points behind him. And Swavely is out here tonight, when I saw him. He might be a laps down, but he's out there. So he could very much take that 11th place spot away. Well, Richard can tonight, I feel. And it's a good looking machine he's got. I like the number font he's got on the side. It kind of looks, you know, devilish or something. Man, arch
enemy.
Do some investigative. Arch enemy. It's a Swedish melodic death band. Well, you hit the nail on the head with that one. They formed in '95. Bunch of girls. Okay.
Actually, ain't that bad. I just pulled
I
up.
had to listen to some of their music. Yeah, I'll have to listen to that after the show here. But there you go, Swavely. You got good taste in music, man. I guarantee you then, he knows, if he goes back and watches this broadcast, Swavely, hit a message up. I guarantee you know who Obituary and Death and all that is. And Swavely right now, he's got new tires because he pitted at lap 36 and working on lap 51. And we said pit stops maybe around, 65 mark. That's what Jason out there. Jason says he ain't going to tell us too much going on.
No,
you don't see anybody going to 60? Jason, I think you're wrong. I feel like Pedro, he's at 51 laps right now. Why would you not go past 60 laps halfway to make this a one stop? If you're going to go to lap 51, it would be, unless you're just going to run out of fuel at lap 58 or so. But if you've got plenty of fuel to make it, the tire fall off, you just start backing the turn up. And, you just deal with the tires. But there's no way you can sacrifice, if you've got enough fuel to go 62 laps, you go 62 laps. I get what you're saying, though, with tires out here fall off of the car, but that's where it gets in the driver's hands. And, Corey, you know this. I mean, that's where the driver has to step up and go, okay, I need to learn how to then, back the turn up and, go in more smooth, throttle easy on the throttle so that I can make that. And, at lap 53, you're not going to see Pedro and him unless he's just going to run out of fuel. So, yeah.
I mean, yeah, at this rate, you've kind of set your fate in to go to at least 60, maybe 61 to make it guarantee you make it the rest of the race.
And if there's a green-white checkered, you got to do it that way. So, but, I mean, I do agree with you to fall off. I can see the car's getting slick. But, again, that just puts it right back into the hands of the driver. I mean, you're talking about Pedro. I mean, we talk about him a lot. He knows how to drive these cars. I mean, Jose out there, very good on the long runs. You've got to be able to know how to throttle control these things when that car starts getting really, really slick. I mean, you see Jose right here, Gonzalez. He's falling off the pace because he's probably easing into that turn, making it, making the car with a rotate, so he's not as fast as he was. That's what he's got to do. I mean, there's nothing else he can do. You don't want to come into pits now because then you're just going to kick yourself.
Yeah, and the big thing is here, when we do go to the pit road, you got to be careful getting in. That transition from the banking down to the apron is pretty significant, even right around the white line. It pretty much goes from a lot of banking to flat.
Yeah. Well, you talk about that there, Jason, you had to pit. That's understandable. Hitting the wall, hey, look, we get that. You got to go in. But, I mean, if you don't get yourself in trouble. What's amazing to me is we've not seen anybody get up there on that high lane. So we touched on it earlier for the race. What is it going to be here? With these next-gen cars, there's so much downforce in this car. We hear it in real life, real racing. These cars are just like on rails. They're easy to drive. We hear the drivers in real life, man, all we're doing is just turning, with them. It's nothing like what it used to be. We're almost out of control. You had to do a lot of throttle, control and stuff. These cars here, unless you're just on bald tires, about the only way to get them sideways. And then it's really still hard to get them sideways. So that might be the reason why they're not having to go way up against the wall. They're not having to use the track as much to control the car. They're able to stay down low, stay in that middle group.
Really? Bald tires, Joe?
Well, damn, I mean,
Okay. Well, they're on racing slicks already. They're already.
But I mean, there's theoretically rubber on the racing.
Oh boy.
Kind of. I mean,
Okay.
it is rubber. Okay, the slick gets slicker.
The racing slick gets more worn down, I
Yeah,
guess.
it gets slicker. There we go. It gets balder. Is that better for you?
Oh,
Got a good,
boy.
better representation.
Yeah, well, right now Bentley is doing exactly what he needs to do. He's right there behind Pedro. If one little mistake, one couple of tenth of a second mistake on pit road, and Bentley and Pedro could be swapping positions here.
And you talk about, we haven't talked about it too much, aero push too here. He is right there in that air part where the air is, he's like, man, right there on him. Why can't I make this gap up? But his car's getting so tight going into the turn, he can't get it to rotate, and then it snaps loose on him coming out of the turn. He has to chase it. So that's kind of what Glacier's dealing with right now. So we touched on the tire thing too. So what you're saying is basically if a treaded street tire loses all of it and goes bald, it turns into a slick.
Well,
I mean, just saying.
yeah.
I don't quite think that's how it works. I'm not testing the theory, but but you're right. I mean, Glacier right now, I think he's got that aero push deal happening right now. Just can't make up that ground. It looks like, and as a driver, that's frustrating because you're like, man, he's right there. Can I just pull in that thing? But the car, it's like a wall that hits. It's like you hit a brick wall with the car. And what happens is the closer you get to the car in front of you, and this is the front end just wants to get tight and starts to push up the track. You can't turn. Like the car don't want to turn. Then all of a sudden, bam, coming out of the turn, it wants to snap loose on you. It's not a good feeling as a driver.
No, it is not. I mean, when that car starts wanting to kick out on you, it's very hard to save one of these cars.
Yes. Right now, race so far happening, boys are looking strong.
Joe Hudson there in third. He pitted on our caution at lap 8. Got some tires and gas. I mean,
we're at lap 62 right now. Remember we was talking about pit stops. Top 2 have not made it, so they're working on that 65 mark.
the question is, if you're Joe Hudson, do you go beyond, or do you actually come in and pit with your top 2 here?
If I'm this close, all right, if I'm this close, and even if I'm Glacier, I would like to pit one lap before them. I would try that, because I'm not making up any ground, and I'm definitely not going to make up any more ground when they get new tires. So you've got to make up some ground somehow here, and I think the only way to do it is short pit Pedro. If Pedro does not pit this time, I'm pitting. I know I can make it all the way, and maybe it'll get me out front. Force the hand of Pedro. I mean, Pedro might be out here waiting a while, but if he doesn't come in this time around, I would definitely be ducking in on pit road. Don't look like they're going to, because if they all come in together, you're basically at a stalemate. You're benefiting nothing here.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, right now, they're all electing to stay out.
Look at the lap times. I mean,
Yeah.
41, 39, 42. I mean, there is no three of these guys are making up any ground on each other. So It's basically one of them guys, Glacier Hudson. They've got to do something pit-wise if they want to make up something. They can't afford. I wouldn't go when Pedro did, but that's just me.
No, I would try to guesstimate when he's going to go in and then go in a lap prior. Especially
I'd be going in now. I don't know about you, but I'd be going in now. Now is when this time, whether Pedro goes or not, I'm coming into pits if I'm Glacier Hudson. That look like they are, but I'm telling you, I would have done come in because the more they stay out, that just gives Pedro that much more. I mean, even if he doesn't come in, let's say 2 laps later, you might be able to get a big enough lead, and we've seen it at a track like this. He might just run out of time catching you. And even if there's a caution late, hey, look, everybody's coming in then anyways.
You see Joe Hudson closing in very slightly when they get into turn 3. If you're Joe Hudson, I mean, I would honestly come in right about now.
That's what I'm saying. You're not going to make any ground up by coming in with Pedro. You've got to do something out of the ordinary. I mean, look at the lap times, 49:54. Okay, well that time was a 53:52. Come on, that's dead even between the top 3. So if you're Hudson, you're like, I mean, yeah, got to come in. You got to do something out of unusual here. What's up, Zane?
Oh, and Pedro's coming in, and look, this Joe Hudson.
Yeah.
You like can come in as well.
Well, Zane out there says that you want to pit 1 lap after. Sometimes I've not seen that strategy work a lot. Hudson's coming in with him. We're going to see, because here's the problem with coming in after. Is you're not going to be far enough ahead, and Pedro's going to make up that time because you still got to pit. I've always been a fan of pitting 1 lap before. If he's far enough ahead, even if, and we've seen the lap times between these guys. I mean, let me touch on that a minute, Zane. You said tires are important, but you saw the lap times. Oh, Tyler, what's up? You saw the lap times between those 3. At 60-some lap tires, those guys were on top of each other.
Look at this, Joe. Joe and Pedro are going at it on pit exit.
Yeah. Hudson, I think, is the one who probably should have came in before. I mean, it's a gamble. You know what? It's a gamble.
Bentley's in now.
Yeah, we're going to see where Pedro comes out. I mean, Pedro's coming around turn 4. So look at that. Glacier made hardly any. Yeah. And see right here, Glacier's going to have to use up those tires to catch Pedro now. Guess what? By the time he catches him, those tires will be used up, and he's right back in the position he was. That's why I say I think it's more important pitting before than after, because right now Glacier's going to have to use those tires. Yes, he's going to catch Pedro with the newer tires, but by the time he does and gets around him, they're going to neutralize off. I mean, we've seen races like this a lot. I mean, Tyler, I know you have too. You've been in them. It's frustrating, really frustrating, to get in a pit stop. I mean, you see the distance between them too. So I'm just personally not a fan of pitting a lap behind rather than trying to short pit on a track like this.
Yeah, and I mean, with Bentley, he has to not only catch up to Pedro, but he's got Joe Hudson in between him and Pedro.
And by the time he does, the tires will just be neutraled, and he's going to be right back in that same position he was. I'm just not a big fan of that. Sure, he's going to be and absolutely he's going to be faster than Pedro with a lap of newer tires. Now, if we were talking about maybe 5-10 lap difference, okay, that's a whole different conversation here, a whole different one. But a lap difference is not going to make that big of difference between the two. Not when those guys were, 100 or 200 difference between each other on 60-some lap old tires. But Wesley Donaldson leading this one. And right now, Wesley has a 5-second lead over Pedro. Just give you an idea, lap times with him, 34:18 to a 36. So, yeah, now there's a big, huge difference. Big difference.
Now, the one I like to look at here is Doy Woods, who came in on lap 57. His times, while they're a little slower,
I agree with you there, Tyler. Yeah, sorry. Well, I mean, I agree with what Tyler's saying. It does, but at a track like this, they will neutralize. Just watch. Just watch. I'm gonna let the track talk for me. Watch Glacier. He's not going to be able to make up that ground on Pedro. Not with the new tires. It's just not with a lap old new tires. It's not happening. It's just no. It just at this point no, because it's not enough difference. Pedro ran a 34.20 to Bentley's 34.06. That's only two. That's not even 2/10. And you know, and I know, it takes multiple tenths to make up. He's also 1.8 seconds back from him. So he's just going to run out of time.
Yeah, I mean, eventually.
Yeah, now trucks might be different. Yeah, trucks.
Trucks.
Yeah, the trucks are different. Yeah, that's a whole different animal. I mean, trucks are a whole different animal. I mean, these cars out here are way, they got so much downforce to them. But Pedro, we're going to work on trying to get around Doey Woods. I mean, it's safe to say that Pedro is eventually going to get back to the front here.
Yeah, it's pretty well given. I mean, 10 lap different tires between Pedro and Doey Woods, which good effort by Doey here, getting a couple of laps led tonight at Homestead.
Yeah. I mean, again there, I hate what happened to you out there, Dalton. I mean, unfortunate set of circumstances. We talked about it in a chase where there's only 4 races in a chase. Having one bad race is just a killer. And, just getting caught up in a race. We know you got fast cars week in and week out. And when you got a guy like Pedro out here running so consistent, it is hard. You got Joe Hudson right here trying to close in. Now, he was able to close in there at the end, but he was only closing in with like 100th or so. Go back on the last lap. Pedro right now ran a 24. The Hudson's 30. The Glacier's 34.39. So actually, Glacier was slower than Mojica. And I go back. I think Hudson might have done but we've seen Pedro do this before here, Corey. Back it up, let a guy have hope, get up here, and then boom, just set off as the race goes on.
Yeah, it's called sandbagging, where you just purposely back off and make the other guy think hey, I'm the hero of this race. I'm going to take out the guy
that's what he's doing to him. That's what he's doing to him.
He thinks Joe Hudson's going to believe he's the hero of the race and going to take down the king of Sim500 Cup Series here.
Oh. Well, watching Glacier, it takes so long to catch up, and he's still Glacier right now is 1.4 seconds back. He ran a 34.33, but Hudson and them ran a 38 and a 38 up front. So if you know anything about times, even if Glacier catches him, he's going to need more than 4 or 500ths to go around him.
He can catch him.
You're right, Zane. Yeah. Zane out there said he's not running. Absolutely. Pedro has been a master class all year long, season long, on how to do that. I will give him credit for that. What happened to D. Brown, man? Where'd he go?
Back in 7th.
Falling off pace a little bit. Where Jose happened to Jose?
5th.
Jose's still there. I like old Speedy. Speedy, good guy. I think that would have been another one if he would have ran all season. Been up here in the points too.
Yeah, he definitely would have been. I mean, didn't he win it? Iowa?
He's won twice now.
He won it.
Charlotte, and I think it was Iowa. Yeah.
And he would have been pretty decent in points. He got 8th last week. If he would have ran all season long, made the playoffs, I do believe Jose Gonzalez could have been a challenger on Pedro.
I still say the sleeper guys. Old Scott Simley back here, he's done a masterful job. Started last in the points, but tonight running there in 9th, he just slowly but surely just holding his own. Really consistent. Talking about up front, not quite sure what happened that last lap, why Pedro actually slowed up and Hudson did, because they lost a little time to Glacier, but the lap before they were all on top of each other. Those guys could be saving. I know Glacier's not really saving a lot because he can't afford to save. He's got to get to these guys back bumper. And the last time they ran a 65, 63, 54. See what they run this time coming out of turn 4. $81, 77, 63. See, it's still just not enough. Now, Pedro's holding up. And I think what Hudson's doing is the same thing. I think he knows what Pedro's doing. Saving some stuff, you know?
I mean, yeah, they both realize the situation they're in, and Glacier is coming. He's coming slowly, but even if Glacier does get to the back bumper, he's got to pass Joe, and then he's got to pass Pedro.
And I just don't think he's got the speed. I mean, look at the time. That time was a 78, 79, 89. So I'm not quite sure what happened on that lap, but I just don't think he's got the speed. Sure, he's got speed to catch them, but the tires won't be there. I go back on that pit stop. If he would have pitted, track position I think is king here. The tire fall off. Even Jason mentioned tire fall off so much that I think that track position is what Glacier probably needed. Not to say he's not going to get to the back bumper, these guys, but I feel like Mojica and Hudson right now, they're not running at 100%.
No, and actually this might help out Glacier a little bit with the lap traffic right directly in front of your race leader here. Mm-hmm. And that's Gerald Livingston going another lap down. Or going his first lap down, actually.
Yeah, the red flaming machine.
And that hurt Joe right there. Had to enter in a little bit lower than usual into the corner. And Pedro just catches these lap cars about every good spot he could ever ask for.
Yeah, Hudson's losing a lot of ground. Now he's got to deal with Glacier back here. He's able to take it around. Right, just bad timing. Good race, though. Good strategy race. Now, here comes Glacier. Let's see how long it takes him to get around Hudson. Not too long. I think Hudson just realized there. Go on. Take off. Have at it.
Well, I like that idea. I mean, you know, Joe Hudson, he's got a 9-second gap over Jose Gonzalez. He can pretty well hold on to a top 3. Let Bentley pass you up. Maybe get up there and start racing Pedro and get door to door with him, and you'll reel him back in.
I'm just waiting to see if these tires, man, you know, come into play and factor in. I mean, how much is Pedro? We talked about it, sandbagging or doing whatever he's doing. We're riding along with him here. Or how much is he actually running that car? I mean, he's smooth. We're on board with him. I mean, he's not rocking the wheel a lot. He's smooth driving. Ride with Glacier and see what he looks like here. Remember, though, Glacier got on the back end. We talked about that aero push. I mean, and then this is what Glacier doesn't need. You got, lap cars on good tires coming around him, because that's just going to slow him up. You guys are so smooth on the wheel, though.
A whole lot smoother than I am a lot of time.
Yeah, I'd be out there chopping and whopping.
Yeah, I done would have crashed out.
Yeah. Not very good on loose tracks.
No, I'm not.
Like them tight tracks. Jose Gonzalez back here in fourth. Strong run. The Browns having a good run right now. Don't want to jinx him. Go to fifth. Steve Ritter right behind him. Old Scott Simley, Smiley man. Yeah. And Tyler, I'm with you there. It's Glacier. He's got to try something. He was in this position before the pits. He was able to get right there at him, but wasn't able to close that gap. And I don't know how much aero push was y'all seeing out there, because that's what it looked like to me. I mean, I know it's a thing here on iRacing, and it looked like that he was at that point to where the car was just, it was like that wall of aero push. It was slower, a little bit higher, so you think the lower line's kind of the place to be. It looks like one groove up is where they're running. You see Pedro that time load up just a little bit. Glacier. It's almost like he's baiting in Glacier. I'll slow up a little bit, give you a little hope, and then he speeds up. That is bad, very bad. Okay, yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking too, Tyler. I mean, what do you think, Corey? Because it almost seemed like that's what Glacier did. He got right there to him without about a car length and a half, and just could not make up that gap. It's just like the car stopped.
Yeah, I just think that the wall of air and then the looseness of this car around this track just isn't helping matters for Glacier. He gets that little bit of hope, and then off of one corner he'll get a little bit looser than Pedro and lose all that ground he makes up. Right now he's less than half a second back, but we'll see when he gets back to the back end here. He'll hit that wall of air and just lose all that time again.
Tyler out there mentioned something, and I've heard this many a times, and I guess this is where my driving skill is lackluster. They always talk about the right rear temperature. How do you keep the right rear temp down in one of these cars? Because I always thought it would be the right front because of how, if you drove it in too hard in a turn or something. How do you, I guess, what are the right rear, spinning coming off the turn or what?
Well, I mean, if you wear down the right rear, you're going to get looser. If you wear down the right front, you're going to get tighter. But like Tyler just said there, it's even more important tires on this car compared to the old gens is both of the rear tires.
Okay, but to me, the only way then to save those would be backing your turns up. Not, getting on the throttle easy, not getting on the throttle as hard coming out of the turn. Make sure you're not spinning the tires or getting sideways or anything. But I've heard guys talk about right rear. How do you say, now, I mean, in road racing it's different, but how do you do that?
Well, you just back the corner off still. You still back the corner off.
Well, I was looking at Tyler, he said just wait as long as you can to get on full throttle. And I get, there again, I go back to, I guess that's where my skill gap is when it comes to oval stuff. Even though I understand slow in, fast off, or, well, that's road racing terms. Probably slow in fast as you can off here would be the best, is what you're saying. There's a fine line between the two. But I've heard that term a lot. Don't burn the right rear. And hey, I'll admit that's where my skill gap is. And Glacier, man, got this lap car at the wrong time.
Well, Pedro has another lap car of Ron Hallfield right in front of him, and Ron riding in Pedro's groove right there. I take a little bit of air off Pedro, but then again, Bentley has to do the same work.
Okay, I got you, Zane. So yeah, and again, a lot of my knowledge comes from road racing. You know, slow in, fast off, because a lot of those turns, that's what you want. You want to, you know, back those turns in. I've always been the type that kind of ease into the turn, but then be able to get on the throttle coming off the turn easier to get that run and so forth. But an oval, I guess it's a lot different. There's a balance between it. Again, I'd hear that a lot, you know, burn the right rear off of it and stuff, and I just never understood how are you burning just the right rear of the car. I always thought, man, I can see the fronts because that's how hard you're running in the turn. But yeah, okay, learn something new every day. I still, hey Corey, it don't matter, you can tell me what I do, but I still would end up doing it, because some of these guys out there talking about, another thing that amazes me about sim racers and racers in a whole, and I guess you could feel it a lot more in a real car, but how they feel the tires going away. I never could feel that, and you know, that was maybe one of my weaknesses as a driver.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of, unless you have like something like a butt kicker or pedals that vibrate or whatever, direct drive wheel, you can't really feel the tires as much as you'd like compared to a real car.
Right.
You gotta have a visual cue of what your tires are doing.
And that really helped. And you know, iRacing doesn't have like a visual cue of how you're heating the tires up. And again, I played with other sims to where, and this is a road racing thing more so than it is on oval, even though they do have some of it, but soft compounds compared to hard, medium compounds, what's the difference in those? I know setup and certain things, but this is fixed setup, but setup and certain ones, you know, play a factor. Like what you just said, you know, it's that feel. Some guys are able to get it better, and I'll admit, I'm the first that was where my skill gap was, that I couldn't get it. But Pedro's got it locked down, and this is exactly what I was talking about. I think Glacier needed that short pit to get in front. If he would have short pitted and been in front of Pedro at this point, I think Pedro might have been hurting, because you got to look, the last time was a 78 to 77. They're dead even again. So what I said earlier, yeah, tires were important, but the problem was is by the time he got there, he had used up his tires. So that short pitting on a track like this, now let's take it to a track to where, like a couple weeks ago, where they were being very aggressive, that would have been different. But a track like this where track position's king, yeah, I just feel like Glacier would have benefited more by short pitting, as Hudson is really falling off the pace, and he doesn't watch it. He still pretty good gap between Jose, so as long as he don't make a mistake.
Yeah, that's a pretty big gap between Hudson and Jose there, but right now, I mean, Bentley's kind of keeping a 3/10 gap to Pedro. If he can maintain this, maybe we see some gnarly moving to the last corner, last lap.
Oh, and don't get me wrong, Tyler. I totally understand what you're saying as far as, you know, turns and all. It's just my skill gap as a driver when I drove out here. That I'll be the first to admit that's where my shortcomings was. But to understand what you're saying, absolutely. I mean, I absolutely, because like when guys tell me, you know, aero push, I know what it is, and so when I know a lot of of what it will do to the car, et cetera, it's just how to overcome it. Some guys are masters at being able to overcome it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Pedro's always going to be fast. I agree with you. But you know he's going to be fast, and that's what I was saying earlier. Then that means you've got to do something different. If you can't beat him speed for speed, I mean, Tyler, you got to agree with this. You can't beat him speed for speed. You have got to do something out of the ordinary to try to get him off his game plan and win and get in front of it. And the one thing that I say that Glacier could have done was the short pit. Maybe that would have made Pedro use the car more than what he was used to, because right now Pedro can pretty much drive the way he wants to drive, and that's what you didn't want him to do, get back into his groove, and Cedric. So yeah.
Now, one strategy I've always thought of, and I've actually done before, is you make it look like a different line's going to work better off than where you're normally running. If Bentley can fake Pedro into thinking a high side groove works better here late in the run, you know, run one lap.
Right there. And Tyler even actually just talked about that right there. He said that he doesn't like that line running up there because he said in practice it was a looseness, and you just saw Glacier right there almost lose it going up out of that top side. So normally that's kind of weird, Corey. Usually when you go high, the car actually wouldn't get loose, but man, we saw it right there.
Yeah, and I mean, right now Pedro's he's getting passed by lap cars that have better tires. He's got to pass these lap cars that have old tires. Bentley can navigate through the handful of lap cars here. Granted, he's only got 11 laps to do it.
Go back here in the 7th place spot. Old Scott Simley, he's caught up to DeBrown. He might actually make up another spot. We talked about, you know, the battle that Scott Simley is having right now. He is sitting 5th in points, and he's got Chad Coleman right there in front, right behind him. There's only 8-point difference between the two, so Coleman still can fall back. You know, Scott can hold on to it. I mean, Glacier's doing what he needs to do to hang on to 5th place. But Mike Kelly, who is it? Mike Kelly falling off a little bit.
Yeah, and a couple laps ago, actually, Simley was edged out ahead of Kevin, but fell off there a hair.
Jason said neither. What is one you feel confident on? Plate track. That's the only thing I feel confident on. Nah, I like Charlotte. Charlotte's a good track because Charlotte plays, I'll be honest with you, I like the strategies that Jose and Pedro do. Conservative. I'm more of a conservative racer. I'm not that aggressive. So tracks that you have to be very aggressive on, and I'm not very good at. You know, a track like here where, yeah, you'd save tires and it helps, but you got to be aggressive at the start. I'm going to be stuck like Jose is. If I don't make up a lot of ground at first, then I'm just going to be out here riding. And but a track that where, you know, maybe saving some tires out or something is going to make you fast. Those are the tracks that I benefit from better. And that's just what I am. But some guys are opposite.
Yeah, the only track I'd benefit on is when we go to Bristol dirt and everybody don't know how to ride a dirt track, and I can go out there and walk them.
Yeah. Well, you know, you talk about Pedro. It looks like, though, he's one of those drivers, and this is a rare breed, and you talked about it there, Tyler, that is able to do both. He's able to know when to use the tires and when not to use the tire, when to run the car hard, when not to run the car hard. That's a rare breed of drivers. There's ones out there like that, and Pedro is one of them. He's able to do it, to be able to know what needs to be done.
Yeah, Pedro, he can just about be as smooth at any track and as quick and.
Yes, and I don't want to take away from anybody else out there now, Corey, man. I mean, you know, you got some great drivers out there. I mean, this thing's got some awesome, you know, but I mean, that's why right now this man's leading the points.
consistency is what's gotten him to where he is right now throughout the season, throughout the playoffs. And look at this, Bentley is trying about everything he can here. He's closing 5 laps. He is getting really loose and up on the wheel one corner exit. We're going to see if he does it again here out of 4, where he gets real loose but keeps in it. He does get a little bit.
Yeah.
He's closed in.
Glazier's there. He's trying, like you said, he's searching around, seeing where he can get it fast. It's that arrow push, that wall that he's in. He's got to try something different. 5 to go. Maybe if he can get to the back bumper of Mojica, he might be able to get him upset a little bit. But if they stay with that gap right there, pretty much Mojica just keeps doing what he's doing. And that gold machine right now is looking like he's gold.
Oh, a little bit loose for Pedro that time out of 4. Maybe now Bentley put the arrow to him and got him loose. Look at this.
Put the moves on him. Well, that's what he's got to do. He's got to get to that bumper. If he can get to that bumper, now here's where those tires might actually be playing a factor. Here's where maybe that 1 lap old tires, but then he goes back high. I don't think the high lane's going to get it. He might get to run off the turn. He might put a slingshot back around the inside. That car got loose right there, and that hurt his momentum coming off the turn.
Actually, it didn't quite hurt him as bad as it probably should have. And I kind of like that little line he ran there. He cut the air. He took the air off of the dirty air off his front bumper and got it clean.
Here he goes. He'll try. Just can't quite make that turn. I mean, Pedro just needs to keep driving. Oh, he blocked down the straight. Now that might hurt Pedro. No. Yeah, I think this is going to hurt Pedro more than it's going to hurt Glacier. Look at Pedro driving it off the turn. I think that move, the block, if Pedro would have just stayed in his lane, I think that was the winning move right there. Pedro, I think the little bit of a block got him, and that's what Glacier needed, to get him off, make him make a mistake, and that's a rare mistake, and Mojica made it.
Remember what I said about switching lanes on somebody?
Yeah.
I think old Pedro thought Bentley found something there a little bit higher than where they usually ran, and that's what got him up there.
And it did, and now you see Pedro trying to go to the high side. He did there too, but I think if Pedro would have stayed where it is, white flag one more time for Glacier. So beautiful move, and I think he just out-tacticianed the tactician back there of Pedro and made a wonderful move around him. So that was a slick move to take this race, as long as he's got 2 more turns to get it done.
Yeah, just 2 more corners here for Bentley. Glacier, man, that was... You couldn't ask for a more smooth pass.
Yeah.
Out of
and
4
and it tricked Pedro into getting out of his line, and Glacier's going to win this thing here tonight. Right.
Wow. Joe Hudson bringing in a solid 3rd, too, here.
Wow. Nice move. The pass, I think he got Pedro off his game plan and made that pass right there. I think if Pedro would have stayed the course of the way it was, forced Glacier to go high. Yeah, but he got him up underneath. What a move. What a move for the race there, man. I loved it. Good showing. Good way to get it. Let's see if we can't get some of these guys up here and get a word with them. That was awesome. That was awesome. Who are we looking for? Pedro, Glacier,
Hudson.
Hudson. There's Hudson. That's a lot of people up in the waiting room. Oh.
I see that.
Pedro. Let's bring up Hudson. Let's get a word with him.
Hey there, Joe. You got a copy on me?
Hello?
Hi, Joe Hudson. Well, man, you brought her home 3rd here at Homestead with a little bit of pit strategy on back bumper of Pedro. Talk us through that.
Yeah, I pitted there, and golly, I guess when I got to him there, I couldn't really get around him. And then when we come back out, I pitted with Pedro, and you know, they're good. These guys up here in Sim500 don't play around, and just tried to ride with him. I didn't think I was going that hard, but then it was like he flipped the switch, and here come Bentley, and then it was just try to make good lap times and get a top 3, which is really, really good for me.
Yeah, really proud of you there for hanging on top 3. And like you said, just came in with Pedro and had to do what you could. You got anybody you like to thank tonight?
My wife and kids for letting me come down here and do this about 5 nights a week. So thanks, Joey and everybody at Sim500. You guys, I go back and watch the broadcast, and y'all do a great job. It's a great bunch of guys here that race. It's almost like the real thing. So congratulations to Bentley and Pedro. A little bit more, maybe I'll catch up with them one day.
There you have, folks. Your third place driver, Joe Hudson.
Good job on Hudson's part right there. Good one. Well, Pedro here almost had it. Came up second tonight, but still good points night for him. Let's get a word with him.
Hey there, Pedro. You got a copy on me?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Well, man, you had the lead for like 90% of that race there and just lost it with a couple to go. Talk us through that.
I just had no rear grip, and Bentley had 1 lap better tires, so I did everything I could. I just had no rear grip, and he somehow had a little bit more than I did. I probably would say the 1 lap better tires probably helped, especially there at the end. So we were tight pretty much the whole race, and we didn't really need to give him an advantage, but somehow he saved a lot more fuel than I did. I guess just being behind me during the first run helped save him some fuel, so he was able to go a lap further, and I think that's what ended up happening at the end. Just he had 1 lap fresher tires, and that was the difference, I think, in rear tire grip.
You really think the 1 tire made that big of a difference? I mean, talk about dirty air though. Like when you got passed by Bentley, did that dirty air really affect you more than tires?
Not really. I felt like I was fine behind him, and obviously he was fine behind me. Dirty air didn't really do much. If anything, it might have helped you a little bit just to kind of snug you up a little bit, but it wasn't really that much of a factor.
And talk us through your thought process there on the block you pulled on Bentley going into turn 3 of a couple of lapses as well.
I was just trying to give him a shallower entry, but it ended up hurting me more than him. The car just didn't turn. As soon as we got in the corner, I hit the brake, it just went straight, and his didn't. So that was unfortunate. Probably, I guess going back, probably should have just ran my normal line, but just trying to make it a little bit more harder for him getting into the corner. But in the end, it ended up hurting me more than him. So
yeah, well, like you said, man, just extra lap on tires. You got anybody I can thank tonight?
I mean, Bentley did a good job. I don't know what he does here at this track in particular, but he's pretty good at saving tires at Homestead. So I think between that and then, like I said, the laps on tires with this build, they do make a difference. And if you're smart and you save your tires and don't burn them up trying to catch back up on the time you lose after 1 lap, then you'll slowly gain back on the person, and then you always keep that advantage throughout the run. So it's not a lot, but in situations like that where you're on whatever 40 plus lap runs, like it helps for a little, it helps a little bit. So but yeah, I guess anyways, good job to him for winning. Appreciate you guys putting on the broadcast. Appreciate the admin at Sim500 for everything to do. All the guys at Team Name, appreciate them. Appreciate Trans Service for being on the car and Mass Graphics. And then, yeah, I just appreciate the family letting me be down here for a couple hours and having some fun. And yeah, hopefully we can go wrap up this championship next week.
Yeah, folks, your second place driver, Pedro Mojica.
Absolutely, and like you said, it's fast Pedro there, man. But this guy here, masterful move. Bentley, Joy in the booth, got a copy?
Yep, I got it.
Well, man, I tell you what, we was up here talking about the air on this track, dirty air. How was that affecting you on trying to get to Pedro?
Honestly, it felt better to be tighter. I was so loose. Like when I was in the lead there, he was just so much faster, and then when I got behind him, I felt a lot more comfortable. So the setup was pretty loose, and like I was trying to save my tires on that last run. I hurt them worse than the first run. So.
Well, we know you pitted the one lap after. Normally, we were talking about it pitting maybe a lap before because it looked a little more like a position track. At some point, it looked like you kind of balanced off, though, with him. Did you think maybe getting worried there as the laps closed in that, hey, look, this dirty air and maybe these tires are neutralized? Are you going to be able to get around it?
Yeah, I was starting to think I was going to stay about half second back, but with this car, like, I don't know, I try to drive it and save my tires, but it seems like if you drive it harder, it goes better. So the last 5 laps, I drove it pretty hard and it gripped up. So, yeah, but it was a battle the whole time for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, and we saw it. It was a great battle. Now, with the move you made on him, what was going through your mind there? Because, we're sitting there thinking you've got to do something different to get around Pedro because what you were doing was just, well, wasn't working. Anybody was getting behind him. But when you made that move to get him off there and he made the block, did you feel like, okay, this is the move that had to be made? Yeah,
like I've been getting little runs like that the whole time, but I didn't think I could make it work at that time, but that was my only chance. So I tried to side draft him a little bit, and then he came down the block and kind of hurt his entry. And this car just likes you can brake real hard and get on the bottom, and it stays pretty good. So it worked out.
Hey, no doubt, definitely worked out. Mastercraft out there, kind of a seesaw battle between you two. Looked good, but you're able to put in victory lane. Personal Comfort Sim500, Winter Cup Series here. You're the winner. You got anybody you want to thank for tonight?
Thank all my teammates at OGR. Thank everybody at Sim500. It's a great league, and thank you guys for broadcasting.
There you go, old Bentley Glacier bringing it home tonight. And Corey, we talked about it back and forth on how it was. You heard Pedro saying that maybe the one lap newer tires was what did it. You heard Bentley right there say, I just had to make the move and drive the car more aggressive. So he was kind of unsure on it. So kind of back and forth deal. It's just one of these tracks at Homestead. You just never know. It's an auto clubbish style track, and what a race though.
Yeah, it was definitely exciting and back and forth differential between driving styles there. Pedro coming out of here 15-point lead heading into the championship week at Michigan next week here for the Sim500, brought to you by the Personal Comfort.
Absolutely. Well, there you go, folks. You have it. We're going one more race next week. We crown the champ. Pedro, he actually helped us deal out tonight. Unfortunately, Tyler Dalton running into trouble. But the man of the hour's got to be Bentley Glacier, making the move up front, putting it in victory lane. For myself and everyone, have a good night.
The Sleep Number 360 comes with what they call responsive air technology, or as what we like to call it around here, RAT. The idea is the mattress will automatically adjust during the night based on your body's position. It's a key selling feature of the Sleep Number 360 bed. But guess what? You can only use RAT when the bed is flat. So if you like to sleep with your head or feet slightly elevated on the FlexFit base, you can forget about responsive air technology. My question to you, is it really worth the money? On the Personal Comfort mattress, we use a passive pressure monitoring system that works no matter what position the mattress is in. It's measuring the pressure of the mattress on your body at all times using a standard medical pressure scale, and it shows you how the pressure changes as you move in real time. This is a setting you can activate on any one of our hand controls. It's a simpler system than Sleep Number's RAT. For one thing, it's not turning on throughout the night to make adjustments. But what we really like about that, well, it's simple and it works.